Okay, so I'm actually recording this session. All right, so this is a cost accounting discussion, mainly focusing on process costing. So we'll move in stages. The first thing we'll do is we'll look at the theory. I remember the time I had a discussion with some students. It includes the students in the other group as well, the group that you're in. Now, fortunately,
Okay.
you're also in my group. Okay, so the discussion was three things that you are supposed to do for you to actually clear a ZICA past paper. It was basically me giving people a strategy, a plan, okay? Something that we
Mm-hmm.
can follow to ensure that we have good grades. Like for you, in your case, we need something that we can follow to ensure that you have good grades in June, okay? All right, so
Yeah.
I'll give you the same exact thing that I gave in that video that is on YouTube and the same strategy that I give to my students. And by the way, I also do online lessons for the same cost accounting, management accounting, financial reporting, um, what else? Financial accounting. I have classes for those ones as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, although this is just more like a made up class specifically for you. Okay, I have a number of classes as well. They're all recorded, just like this one, all recorded. We give materials, we give past papers, we give recordings, one-on-one sessions, just like this one. Just imagine you actually got a one-on-one or one-on-one session with me, yet you didn't haven't really registered. Now just imagine if you were registered, how is it going to be? You get my point. Okay, so I'm mostly available. All right. Okay. So
Wow.
this strategy is number one, we have to read the material. Okay, read the
Okay.
material, and we are going to follow that exact plan here. Read the material, understand the material. So after we read the material, we understand the material, we have to practice the material. By practicing the material, I mean you actually practicing past papers. Like for instance, what we are going to do today, this is a past paper. This is June 2024 past paper. Okay, so we are going to practice this. Hopefully you have enough time to actually do all this. Okay, that's the practical part. And then number three, the most important aspect of clearing any subject is you have to love it. You need to at least find a way to develop interest into the subject. Okay, I'll give an example. Like for myself, I'm someone who is super interested in practicing, solving, teaching. That's the main reason why I've been doing it for some time now. Okay, and I also offer sessions like this, and that's the main reason why I'm used to terminologies. Uh, Basically understanding the topics or understanding the subject in general. Okay. All right. So I said number one, read the material, understand the material. We need to understand the terminologies as well. Like when we say costing, you need to know what costing is. When we say a cost, you need to know what a cost is. When you say process costing, you need to know what process costing is. It's not just about the practical aspect of it, but also the theory. Hello, are you following?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. All right. So today we are going to mix the two, the understanding the material and the practicing. I just hope by the time we are done with this session, we'll get the third one as well. Did you hear what the third one is? Love it. Okay.
Yeah,
Hope
love it.
you
Yeah, love
yes. Hope you get to develop interest in the subject as well. That's if you don't have interest. Do you have interest in the subject?
it. Yes, I have interest in cost accounting.
Okay, perfect then. All right, so we have a question right here. They want us to prepare a schedule of the equivalent units for process two, and they want us to calculate the full cost per unit that would be used to value output in process two, and they want us to prepare the process two account. But why is process accounting? Because we can only see questions here, but I'll just imagine we don't really understand what process costing is, okay? And we don't understand what a process account is. Okay, all right, so our discussion today is on process costing. Okay, we know what costing is. Costing is basically adding value, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to a particular item. Like for instance, I want to know the full cost of producing my discs, and then I'll add value to it. I'll have the cost per unit. That's the cost of acquiring each unit that I use for making that disc. Like for instance, um, if for making those discs, we need nails, we need wood, and we probably need labor. For me to cost that item, I'll get the individual cost, how much money I incur to actually acquire that particular item. I'm like, okay, how much money do I spend on a nail? How much money do I spend? Let's say, how much money do I spend on? Let's say, how much money do I spend on a nail, or how much money I spend on wood, or how much money I spend on the labor on for the people to
Yeah.
actually work on it. Okay, so
Mhm.
if it's like that, then I'll use that information to actually find the full cost of making one desk. That's what costing is. Costing is determining the cost of producing something. Okay, how does that help us? If you don't know the cost, then you can't really manage to make a selling price, because you need to know how much it costs for you to add either a margin or a markup on that particular cost. Am I correct?
Mhm. Yes.
All right, so now that we understand what costing is, what is the process? Okay, a process. As you can see from the word itself, a process is a stage. Okay,
Yeah.
imagine when producing discs, it passes
Mhm.
through stages. Or let
Yeah.
me not say this, let me say a particular product, it passes through these stages. There's a mixing stage, or the starting point, we can name it whatever I want to name it. And then there's a part where we mix it. And then afterwards, there's a part where we finish it up to make it a finished product. Okay? So processes are stages. So process costing is us uh, costing for products that actually pass through stages or pass through processes for them to be finished. Okay, so
Mhm.
process costing is a way of calculating the cost of making products when the items are all the same and are made continuously. We have one process, we start that particular item, we finish, not finishing the product, but finishing the process. And we have the opening balances, whatever we need for the second product, and then for the third product, for the third stage, just like that. So we have process one, process two, process three. So we are determining the cost of one process, an individual process. We want to know the full cost of actually producing something per process. Okay, that's what process costing is. I'll repeat, process costing is a way of calculating the cost of making products when the items are all the same and are made continuously through various stages or various processes. Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so I said we are talking about the theory. I said we'll talk about the theory. Right now I'm even making gestures. I know you can't see the gestures, but trust me, they are there. Okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So I said we talk about the theory, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's look at a bit of some real life examples. I'm not typing here. I usually type, but I just want to quickly cruise through because I know we don't really have a lot of time. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about real life examples. Examples we can talk about, maybe when making soap, it passes through a number of processes. It's not just, you just don't do one thing and make soap. You have to do one thing, the other, take it to the next stage. When producing sugar, it's the same. If we go to Nakambala, you'll find there's probably the stage where they actually plant the the sugar cane, and then there's a stage where they burn the sugar cane, and then the they cut it. I don't know, maybe they grind it. I don't know the other stages, because other stages I've seen them, but what happens inside, I haven't really been in there, but I've seen the outside thing. Have you ever been to Nakambala?
No.
Okay, but you know what Nakambala is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, the sugar company. You've never
Yeah, the
been to
sugar
Southern Province or Mazabuka?
Mazabuka, right?
Yes, in Mazabuka. You've never been to Mazabuka?
No.
Oh, okay,
I
all
only
right.
heard about
Sorry?
I only heard about it.
Okay. All right. So there's also another example that we can use is a company that brews beer, like for instance Zambia Breweries.
Yeah.
It doesn't really just take. It's not like they do one thing and then they have the beer readily available. No, they do a number of processes. Okay. Another example is maybe we are processing cooking oil. We will start from the plants. Okay. To making the oil, and then packaging. We'll do a number of things for it to be readily available for the market. Okay. So basically, in all these examples that I've given you, the main thing is the product actually goes through a number of stages, and these stages are what we call processes. Okay, and what are we trying to find by process costing? We are trying to know how much it costs at each particular stage. Okay, we are trying to know how much it costs at each particular stage. So people might have questions, like you might have a question, like the question is why? Why can't you just sum up everything? Like, okay, Ronald, uh, why can't we just sum up everything? Like from this stage to this stage to this stage, we add everything. I'm like, okay, the total cost of producing this is this. Why? What do you think, Madam Gawa? Why? Why do you think it's necessary for us to do all this hard work when we can just probably have an easier way?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, I was actually asking you a question.
Okay, repeat the
How-
question.
Yeah,
I think
I was asking why. Why do you think it's necessary for us to do all this work? Why do you think it's necessary? Just want to check
I'm
if
sure
anyone.
to know the cost of it, how much we spent on the what on the in producing the object or the product that came out.
Yeah. So, number one is to know the cost of making one unit. Okay. And also, we want to control our production cost. How can we reduce cost if we don't know them? So, to control production costs, also to know the value of goods in progress and the finished goods, and also to spot any losses or any waste. Okay. All right.
Yes,
Okay. So, what are some of the features, like the characteristics of process costing? When are we supposed to use process costing? Number one, when products are identical, okay, they're the same products. Number two, if the products are continuous, they don't really stop, okay. When we finish a particular stage, they don't stop. And then number three, when the product passes through more than one process or the product passes through more than one stage. Okay. Number four, when costs are recorded for each process. Like every time we are cutting timber, cutting sugarcane, we record all the costs that we incur. Number three, number three, when we often have things like leftovers or waste. Okay. And number four, uh, the process costing is actually used in large factories. Okay, it is used in large factories. So now let's go to the terminologies, because every single time when you are solving a question, you need to be familiar with the terminologies. Remember when I said to understand the theory? Let's get to it.
yes,
Let's understand the theory. And are you understanding the theory? Just want to get some
yes. I
feedback
am.
before I
I
proceed.
am. I'm noting down.
Oh, okay. And am I too fast? If I'm too fast, you can let me know.
No, no, no.
Okay, all right. So usually I type because every time in an actual session I have 2 hours, but right now I don't
Okay.
really have 2 hours. I have an hour. I actually
All
had
right.
30 minutes. I was supposed to have another session 14 hours, but I think I'll try to push it to 14:30. Hopefully they won't be upset.
All
Okay.
right. Thank
All right. So, terminologies that we are supposed to understand. Number one, we are supposed to understand the word a process account. You know how that question was asking for a process account, and then I was like, okay, what is a process account? You need to understand what a process account is. So, a process account is an account that we use to record all costs pertaining to a process. A process account is an account that we use to record all costs, such as materials, labor, or overheads used in any particular process. Okay? Okay, and then we also have normal loss. Okay, we also have normal loss. Normal loss is, let's say, it's an expected loss. Okay, expected loss, the loss that you expect to incur. Like for instance, okay, um, we want to spend 300 kwacha on probably making something, and we might lose out to 20 kwacha. So the result might be worth 280 kwacha. So that's an expected loss. You know you're going to lose out, and you budgeted for it, but you're doing it anyways. So a normal loss is an expected loss that cannot be avoided. Okay. I'll give an
yes.
example. If you're producing juice and then you have 2 kgs of juice that evaporates during the boiling process,
Mm-hmm.
that's just happened. It has evaporated. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no way we
Yes.
can change the vapor back to the drink. We can condense it back. If we can, that's good. But that will mean we'll have to incur extra cash again for another process of condensing it back, which isn't really necessary because the 2 kg is immaterial compared to the actual quantity of the juice. Okay? So
Yes.
normal loss is the expected loss. Okay? And then we have some things like the scrap value. Okay? What is a scrap value? So uh, a scrap value is subtracted and the cost is shared among the good the units. Okay, so the way it is that a scrap value is when you sell out something at a lower amount, okay, and the benefit is what you recognize as a scrap value. Scrapping something off, it means you are selling it or disposing it off at a lower cost. Hello, are you getting my point? Like for
Yes, I
instance,
am.
you have an asset in your business, and the
Mm-hmm.
asset is worth 50,000, and then after
Yes.
it has depreciated throughout, it has a remaining life of let's say maybe remaining value of maybe 100 kwacha, and then you sell it at that particular amount. It means you have scrapped it off, although it has outlived its useful life. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's
Yes.
what the scrap value is. Okay,
Okay.
and then we also have an abnormal loss. Okay, an abnormal
Yeah.
loss is basically more like a normal loss. It's just that this one is unexpected. You didn't expect it to happen. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
unexpected loss is what we call an abnormal loss. So we have a normal loss. The loss is made up of two components: the normal loss and the abnormal loss. The normal loss is something we expected. The abnormal loss is something we did not expect. Okay, and then we have
Yes.
terms like abnormal gain.
Yeah.
Okay, we have things like abnormal gain. Okay, so if you understand the abnormal loss, what is an abnormal gain?
An abnormal gain. This is the gain that you didn't like. You expected that a certain gain, like the output, but instead you gain more of that. That's what I think.
Okay, although we actually find it when we have we might have a loss, but the loss may be less than the normal loss. So
Yes.
yeah, the abnormal gain is when there is less loss than expected. We might have a
Or
loss, which might be is okay. Let me put it like this: when there is no loss, or there's an absolute profit, or there's a less loss than expected. We might have a loss as long as it's below the normal loss, then we are good. It's an abnormal gain.
okay.
Okay, and then we also have work in progress. Okay, we also have work in progress. Is this the correct spelling of progress? I believe it is. Okay, so work in progress. Sometimes the way it is that at the end of the month, some units are not fully done. Okay, we are done with the process. We are done with the month, and then some units are not fully done. They are still in the process. These are called the work in progress. So we have units that we are not fully done. We'll put them back in the process, the same process as work in progress. Okay, and then
Yeah.
we have equivalent units.
Equivalent units.
Okay, when do we use equivalent units? So we actually use the equivalent units when we have unfinished units to convert them into completed units. Okay, an example can
Okay.
be if we have 100 units that are 50% complete, we will recognize them as 50 equivalent units. You get my point?
Yes.
Okay, so and we also have the cost per unit. We need to understand how to find the cost per unit, but I'll show you all this in our question. So this is the theory. I tried to be to do it in brief. Hopefully I wasn't too fast, and hopefully you were getting what I was saying.
Yes, I got what you said. And you're not fast. You're not too fast. You're just on the uh a normal pace, I should say. A normal pace.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, so do you have any questions on the theory?
On the theory, no.
Okay, you were already familiar with the theory.
Yes, the terminologies are okay. I am familiar with them. Just the work in progress and the equivalent unit.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Let's go to a question. Okay, so if you have this paper, you can open it. It's DA. It's question two, but let me just show you the front page. Okay, where's the front page? Okay, so it's DA5 Cost Accounting, written on the 11th of June 2024. Um, it's the one we are going to solve. So if you have it, you can open it. Do you have it?
Let me just check if I have it.
Okay.
DA 2024, right?
Yes, June 2024.
Mhm. Okay, I found it.
Okay. All right. It's question two.
Question 2.
Yes.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, so the question reads: A company within the chemical industry located along Katemo Road in Lusaka mixes powdered ingredients in two different processes to produce ladies' lotion known as White and Me. The output of process one becomes the input of process two, and the output of process two is transferred to the packing department as finished product. The company uses the weighted average method of inventory valuation. Output from process one is 9,200 kilograms at a valuation of 2 kwacha per kg in the process account at that stage. Information regarding process two as extracted from the engineer's preliminary report is set out as follows. Material C is worth this much, material D is worth this much. Then we have the flavoring incense, mixing labor, we have the overhead costs, we have normal waste, 5% of wet input with no disposal value, no scrap value, by the way. Output 18,000 kilograms. No work in progress at the beginning of the week, but 1,000 kilograms in process at the end of the week, and at the end of the week, and estimated to be only 50% complete so far. Okay, all right. So far as labor and overhead we are concerned. Overhead of 6,400 incurred by the two process to be absorbed on the basis of mixing labor hours. Absorbed on the basis of mixing labor hours. Prepare schedule of the equivalent units for process two. Okay, so they want us to prepare a schedule for equivalent units for process two, and then the second question is calculate the full cost per unit that would be used to value output in process two, and then prepare the process two account. Okay, they want us to prepare a schedule of the equivalent units for process two. All right, let me just get the information again. A company within the chemical industry located along Katemo Road in Lusaka mixes powdered ingredients in two different processes to produce ladies' lotion known as White and Me. The output of process one becomes the input of process two. Okay, and the output of process two is transferred to the packing department as finished product. But we don't have any packing department here. The company uses the weighted average method of inventory valuation. Output from process one is 9,200. So we have input already here. You've seen it because they said here, if we check, they're saying the output of process one becomes the input of process two. So here they're saying the output from process one is 9,200 kilograms. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we have it already here, and the value is at the valuation of 2 kwacha per kg in the process account at the stage. Okay, all right. So let me just type in my data. Let's say process two data. I want to have all the information at my disposal so that it's very easy. I don't want to pick the information from the question. So input is
Okay.
9,200 kgs
Mm-hmm.
at 2 kwacha per kg. Okay, this is the input that we got. And then let's check again. Do we have any other information in here? Okay, we've read this information regarding process two as extracted from the engineer's preliminary report is said as follows. Okay, so they have materials of 6,600. So we have materials of 6,600. This is the input from the other process. So we have materials 600. Is that kwacha or is that kilograms? Okay, this is kilograms at 2.5. Okay, so this is kgs per kg. Okay, we check again. What else do we have? We have material D. Okay, so in terms of materials, we have two materials, material C and we have material D. So let me just bring in material D. Just give me a second. This is material C. Okay, and then here we'll have material D. Okay, so our material D is material D is 4,200 kgs at 1.5 per kg. So 4,005 4,200 kgs at 1.5 per kg. I hope I'm correct. Okay, 1.5, it's correct. 1.5 per kg. Okay, so this is our data. Did they give us any information that might help us with okay, let's see. Okay, so we have a normal loss. We have a normal waste of 5%. So I just say normal loss rate 5%. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Okay, they've given us these. Let's see. Okay, these are costs. Okay, favoring instance. What do they want? Equivalent units for the process two. Okay, they want the equivalent units. Okay, favoring instance 600 kwacha mixing labor 370 hours. This is labor. Overhead costs 2,900. We have the normal waste 5% of weight input with no disposal. Okay, so this is 5% of the input. Okay, and then output is 18,000. Okay, so we have output of 18,000. 18,000 18,000 kgs, I'm assuming. Yeah, 18,000 kgs. Okay, so do we have any information, any other information that we might need to use? Okay, they're saying no work in progress at the beginning of the week. Okay, but 1,000 kilograms in process in process at the end of the week and estimated to be only 50% complete. Okay, so they are saying there's a there is no there is no opening work in progress. Okay, but we have 1000 kilograms in process at the end of the week. So at the end of the week we have 1000 kgs which are 50% complete. So these are 500 complete units. Hello. Yeah, these are
Yes.
five. Yeah, these are 500 complete units if we follow the equivalent units. And then, so far as labor and overhead were concerned, overhead of 6,400 incurred by the two, okay, incurred by the two processes to be absorbed on the basis of mixing labor hours. So we're going to absorb the labor hours, let's say the overhead of 6,400 incurred by two processes to be absorbed on the basis of mixing labor hours. Okay, so the first question is 8 marks. They want us to prepare a schedule of the equivalent units. They want us to prepare a schedule of the equivalent units for process 2. Okay, want to find out how much our equivalent units are. Okay, let's see. They say they are 50% complete. I'll be coming back here if I need information. But we'll have to create a format. Okay, we'll have to create a format to be able to determine. Number one, we'll have to determine our total output. Okay, our total output value. We'll have to
Mhm.
determine that. And number two, after we determine our total output value, we'll have to apportion it as per the materials that they've given us. Okay, we have to apportion it as per the materials that they've given us. So how do we find our total output value? We basically just make a list. It's more like this. It's more like this. Let me put it like this. You see the way we have an input here. We have input. We put in our system. We put in our not system. We put this is 9,200. We got 9,200, and then we got 6,600, and then we simply add all of them. So that's 9,200, and then we add the 6,600 plus the 4,200, giving us the total input of 20,000. Okay, and then we'll have to prepare. We can either do it as a list or as an account to show the inputs and the outputs.
Mhm.
Yes, so we can either, okay, I'll show you two methods. Okay, I'll show you two methods. Let me show you the first one. The first one, we can either do it as a list whereby we just add up everything to determine the total output. Okay, let me show you. So we have input. Okay, our total input in materials, by the way, this is in materials, the one the cages. Our total input in materials will be the input from process one, which is the 9,200, plus the material C that they put into our system, the 6,600, plus material D, the 4,200, which is like this. Okay, it will give us 20,000. By the way, this is cages. Okay, yeah, this is also cages. And then
Okay.
after we compute for our input, we then compute for our output. I'll show you the other method as well. Our output will be the actual output, okay? The
Okay.
18,000. The reason why I like starting with this is because they gave it to me in the question. I like bringing things that I have in my question already.
All right.
Yeah, and then when I bring in the outputs, that's when I start computing for everything else. Okay, like for instance, they said normal loss is 5%, so we have normal loss on the output 5% of the 20,000. Okay, because they said of the input.
Mhm.
Oh, I forgot to put a multiplication here. Times. Okay, yeah, meaning it to be 1,000. Okay, and then we
Yes.
check again in the question if there's anything else that can help. So they're saying there's no work in progress at the beginning of the week, but there's 1,000 work in progress at the end of the week.
Mhm.
Want to see it here. Okay, so basically we have 1,000 as an output at the end of the week. So we have work in progress, which is 1,000. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so we have a work in progress, which is 1,000. So we have normal loss. Yeah, so we have normal loss, we have output 18,000, we have normal loss 1,000, and we have work in progress 1,000, giving us our 20,000. So basically our account balances. Okay, so we'll have 20,000 here. And then the other method that we can use, which I believe is the easiest way, let me show you, is where we make a T account. Okay, so make a T account, but this T account will be focused only on the units.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have, I'll just put cages here. Cages, and I'll put the cages this side. Okay, the reason I'm putting cages is because this is representing the units. So we'll have input from process one. I believe this is even very clear, and Zika can
Yeah.
love this. Input from process one is 9,200.
100.
And then material C,
6,600.
yes. And then material D,
4,200.
yes. Okay. That's everything we put in our system. By the way, I'm looking at just the units, not the amounts. If it was a full process account, obviously I'll include everything they put in, including the labor. Labor doesn't have units. I'm just looking at the materials, the units. Okay. All right. And then I'll close it up just for the units. And then I'll sum up everything to give me 20,000 here. And then I'll come here. Okay. I'll begin with the normal loss. Normal loss will be the 20,000 that I got here at 5%. Okay. And then we also have work in progress, which is 1,000 end of the week. And then we have output, which is 18. So which one is better?
The T account.
Looks better, eh? Looks more
Yeah.
professional. And if you're
Yes.
and if you're looking at impressing Zika, it's a method that you can actually go for.
Yes.
All right. So now they want what they want is a statement of equivalent units. So now that we know our total output is actually 20, of which we apportion the total output already.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll have to apportion it as per the input materials. That's materials, labor, and also if we have any other overheads or anything else in our question. So we'll get this exactly the way it is. Let me show you this. This is magic. Okay, so on our statement of equivalent units, what we are going to have is we are going to have, and I have 10 minutes remaining to my other session.
Okay.
Okay, I was just checking if people are wondering, like, how come he's not sending the link? Okay, all right.
Okay, just do equivalent units. The account, I will do it.
Sorry?
Just do the
Oh,
equivalent units. The process account too, I'll do it.
okay. Oh, you're familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so this is where you had the challenge.
Yes. I couldn't
Okay.
understand anything.
Okay. Have we sorted out your problem so far?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So now let's do the statement of equivalent units. We'll get the output. Okay.
Okay.
Our output, we'll get it in units. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we have. Let me just say, we'll get our output, and then we'll list everything as per the question. So in here, we have things like materials, we have labor, and we have overheads as well. So you have things
Yes.
like materials, we have labor, and we have overhead. So we apportion everything as per that. So we have output, and then I'll bring in my materials, and then I'll bring in my labor, and then I'll bring in my overheads. Okay, I'll bring in my materials, my labor, and my overheads, and then I'll just pull these units. Then here I can say details. Okay, let me just bring details. Okay, all right, I believe it looks okay now. All right, so let me show you the magic I was talking about. You see this? It comes exactly the way it is here. Hello? You
Yes, I'm
see,
hearing you.
you see this? It comes exactly the way it is. So I'll pick, let me just make all this bold so that they are separated. Okay, so I'll get these. I'll get the total output, okay? And I'll
Yes.
bring in the total output here. So we have 1,000 kgs
Mhm.
for normal loss, and we have 1,000 kgs for work in progress, and we have, sorry,
18,000
18,000
output.
for output. Have you seen how a T account is helping us? Because we are just picking this from the rest, exactly the way it is.
Yes.
Okay, so now we need to apportion it as per the question. Let me just see. I just want to read through the question, especially this bottom part. Okay, let me start from here. Output from process one is 9,200 kgs at a valuation of 2 kwacha per kg in the process account at that stage. Information regarding process two, as extracted from the engineer's preliminary report, is set out as follows. Okay, material C 600,600. We got the information already. Flavoring instance 600 kwacha. Here we are focusing on the units. Mixing labor is 370 kwacha at 4 kwacha per kg. Overhead cost and the normal waste. Okay, all right. 5% of wet input with no disposal value. Do you know what they mean when they say with no disposal value?
Is it not scrap value?
Yes, it's scrap value. So with no scrap value. Okay, no work in process at the beginning. I think Zika made a mistake here. They said no work
Should
in
be.
process. I didn't even
Yeah.
see it. This is what I'm saying. No work in
Mm.
progress at the beginning of the week, but 1,000 kilograms in process at the end of the week, and estimated to be only 50% complete so far as labor and overhead were compensated. Okay, so the 50% is only affecting the labor and the overhead. You've seen?
Yes.
Yeah, but for these other ones, they're getting everything in full. It's just that for labor and overheads, it will just be 50%. So let me show
No.
you. So normal loss won't really affect any of this, okay? It just affects the total. And then work in progress and normal loss is a loss, okay? We didn't even use up normal loss. We lost it. I just want you to understand why we are not including normal loss. We lost it. It's a loss. We didn't use it. Okay, and then work in progress for materials will be 1,000. Do you know the reason why it's 1,000? Because it was not affected. Okay,
Okay.
the 50% is only affecting the. Let me show you. I want you to understand this. No work in progress at the beginning of the week, but 1,000 kilograms in process at the end of the week, and estimated to be the 50% is only affecting labor and overheads, and it's only affecting the work in progress. This 1,000. It's not
No.
affecting the entire output.
Okay.
You've
I
seen it?
get it.
So this 18,000 will go exactly the way it is. You've seen it. You understand why, right?
Yes.
And then this will be at 50%. It will be 1,000 multiplied by 50% or divided by 2, and then we'll do the exact same thing again. Although here to be 250 because my formula is picking this by just incorrect it. Okay, so and then all we need to do is to basically sum up everything now. So I have 20,000 kgs in total. I don't know why I like money so much. We have 20,000 units. and then we have 19,000 for materials because work in progress is in full, and then we have 18,500 because there's 50% on work in progress, uh, and then we have 18,500 again because there's 50% on work in progress. So these are the equivalent units.
No.
Okay, so these are the equivalent units as per the statement of equivalent units.
All
Per,
right.
yes, per
Now
element. So the
yeah,
total, sorry?
and I've gotten it right now.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right. So do you have any question?
No.
Okay, so what subject are you writing after cost accounting?
Economics.
That's it, just economics. You want to do like
Economics
three?
and QA. Eh?
You want to do like three?
Yeah, I'm doing three.
Oh, which ones?
Cost, economics, and QA.
Okay. Cost.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean now. September. What are you sitting for?
September, I want to do FR.
Financial reporting.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm inviting you to our financial reporting classes starting on the 10th of June.
10th of June.
I know you're writing on the 10th of June, but we are starting that week.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you'd like to join, you can join if you want more of such things for 2 hours every single time. You'll probably even get tired of me and my assignments.
All right.
Yeah. So I
To
mean,
talk.
okay. All right. Otherwise, I would have loved to do the process account as well, but I have a session. So thank you very much.
I should be the one thanking you. You've
Oh,
been
okay.
helpful.
Okay. No
Yeah.
problem. No
I'll
problem.
text you once I'm done solving the process account.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.